sleep, Ethel.
Oh, like that, is it?
You'll be hearing from my solicitor.
Oh, yeah. I hope you didn't mind me using the upstairs lobby, but there's a strange man in our one.
Well, let's not get bitter and twisted about it, shall we?
Divorce was what you wanted, mate. Divorce is exactly what you're gonna get.
So where are you going to be staying?
Somewhere you can't find me.
All right.
You found your friend? Well, I'm glad someone's talking. It's divorce in the back corridor.
Princess?
The name's Sharon. I ain't a bloody princess. Never have been and never will be.
You've brought up to this, haven't you?
No, it was my decision. Do you think I'd stay in this place with a pig like you?
Don't you talk to me like that, Sharon.
Oh, it's respect for our father time now, is it? Don't make me laugh. I don't know you nothing, and certainly not respect.
But you don't know what she did to me.
Whatever it was, it weren't bad enough. Because whatever she does, it's down to you. I suppose you think we're leaving by the back door, eh? Well, you got it wrong, mate. We're leaving through that bar where everyone can see us. You all right, babe?
Maybe it's because I'm a Londoner that I love London town.
You ready, Ange?
Yeah. Excuse me.
Music, maestro, please.
What's going on? Just don't get involved. I can't help but get involved. She's my best mate. Shell, please.
Well, it's back to normal if that's possible for EastEnders next week, Tuesday and Thursday at 7:30. We've comedy in 10 minutes tonight when Julie Walters co-stars with Michael Caine in Willie Russell's award-winning film, Educating Rita. But now on BBC1 Scotland, the news with Jan Leeming.
"60 dead in an Iraqi airliner disaster. Hijackers are blamed." A Danish frigate rescues 5 seamen off Iceland. 6 others are believed dead. And the Queen's Christmas message: look after the children. At least 60 people have been killed aboard an Iraqi airliner which crashed in a remote area of Saudi Arabia. Reports from the Middle East say the plane was hijacked and an unknown group in Beirut has claimed responsibility for blowing up the aircraft. Mike Smart has been following developments from London.
There were 107 passengers and crew aboard the Iraqi jet, and of the 42 survivors, 12 escaped injury. The plane was on a scheduled flight from the Iraqi capital Baghdad to Amman in Jordan. According to the Saudis, it was forced to land at Araa in the north of the country, overshooting the runway there by 800 yards and exploding. The Jordanians say just before the pilot attempted a landing, there was a clash on board between hijackers and security men. Among the survivors, who arrived in Amman a short time ago, was the former Jordanian Interior Minister, Suleiman Arar, who was greeted by Jordanian officials. From Amman, Samira Kawar.
Mr. Arar, who had been sitting in the first-class section, said the hijacking attempt occurred 45 minutes after takeoff. An explosion, presumably from a bomb or hand grenade, was heard in the cockpit. A young man brandishing what seemed to be a bomb rushed out of the cockpit through the first-class section into the tourist section, followed by an air warden with a gun. Another explosion was then heard in the tourist section, but the aircraft was able to remain airborne and head towards an airstrip in the Arar area of northern Saudi Arabia to attempt an emergency landing. A few hundred meters away from the runway, the aircraft exploded.
A group calling itself the Revolutionary Action Organization claimed in Beirut it was responsible for blowing up the airliner and threatened further strikes against Iraqi targets unless 3 members of the organization were set free within 72 hours. Neither the organization nor the 3 men have been heard of before. In Paris, the Iraqi ambassador there has accused Iran of being behind the reported hijacking. The ambassador called the hijacking a crime of the Iranian regime.
The 55-year-old French hostage released in Beirut yesterday has arrived back in Paris. Aurel Cornea had been held for almost a year by an extremist Muslim group. He was met at the airport by his wife and the French Prime Minister Jacques Chirac. Also there were 2 of his colleagues who were kidnapped in Beirut at the same time but released earlier. A 3rd man is still in captivity. Cornea said he was very tired but delighted to be there. He couldn't really believe he was in Paris again. He said he had no idea he'd be released until half an hour before his kidnappers let him go. 5 Icelandic crewmen whose ship sank in rough seas in the North Atlantic this morning have been rescued with the help of the RAF, but 6 others are now feared dead. A Nimrod search plane dropped a life raft to the survivors as they struggled to keep afloat in their own raft, waterlogged after drifting for 10 hours. 3 others in the raft had already died. Their ship, the Suderland, sank 300 miles off the Icelandic coast after it was hit by a freak wave. 3 remaining crew members went down with the ship. Their Mayday call, sent out just before midnight, was answered by a Danish naval frigate, the Venderan, which was patrolling off Greenland. It immediately sent a Lynx helicopter to winch the survivors to safety. They arrived back on dry land in the Ferry Islands 2 hours ago, escorted there by a Nimrod plane. Its captain, Peter Hawkins, watched the rescue operation.
It was difficult from the helicopter's point of view because the helicopter was on the limits of its endurance. He was short of fuel. He had very little time actually in the area to pick the survivors up. There was 1 more survivor than he anticipated, which also puts more time into the operation. And the weather, when he got back to his ship to land, was not that good. The ship pitching up and down is not an ideal platform to land on.
So some very good flying on the part of the helicopter pilot.
Oh, yes, indeed. He arrived back, I think, with about 5 minutes fuel to spare.
The 300 passengers who spent more than 18 hours marooned on board an Irish ferry are tonight celebrating Christmas at home. The ferry was left drifting off the Devon coast after a fire in the engine room. Last night it was towed into Plymouth. Today the owners chartered a jumbo jet to fly the passengers on to Dublin.
Shortly before daybreak, cargo and passengers began leaving the stricken ferry. Many of the travellers had taken advantage of free telephone calls to friends and relatives in Ireland, and Father Christmas had been on board to cheer up the children. 4 hours later, the 300 passengers were arriving by coach at Heathrow Airport. Some, criticising the ferry crew, said they'd felt trapped behind doors which closed automatically below deck during the fire.
And luckily there was one member of the crew who was coming out at the same time as us, who showed us there was a release button on one of the doors, but if we'd been on our own we wouldn't have known, we would have been trapped.
So how did you feel at that time? You must have been afraid, frightened.
Yeah, we were terrified at that stage, and especially with the baby, because she's been very sick the whole way.
Others said the crew reacted marvellously, although information was scarce.
I think that worries everybody always, isn't it? You always want to know really what's happening, but just their reassuring way and their kindness was enough.
And this afternoon at Dublin Airport, journey's end for some of the families and long-delayed Christmas reunions. For others, there was still a final leg by road to the far-flung reaches of the Emerald Isle.
There was a new kind of informality this year to the Queen's Christmas broadcast. It came from a children's party in the Royal Mews at Buckingham Palace. Her other public appearance was with members of the royal family at St George's Chapel, Windsor.
It was a wet rather than a white Christmas for the family service this year, and the Queen left without the usual family gathering on the chapel steps. But the drizzle couldn't keep the crowds away, and the Queen Mother, still recovering from her recent illness, was there too. The Princess of Wales was wearing a seasonably red outfit, which came very close to matching her sister-in-law's. This year, the Queen's message came from a children's party at the Royal Mews. It was especially relaxed and informal, with a trip round the royal stables, where she used the children's theme again for her message.
We must not forget those children who are the victims of ill treatment or neglect. It is no easy task to care for and bring up children, whatever your circumstances, whether you are famous or quite unknown. But we could all help by letting the spirit of Christmas fill our homes with love and care, and by heeding our Lord's injunction to treat others as you would like them to treat you.
The Archbishop of Canterbury, in his traditional Christmas Day sermon, has spoken of the special spirit that is created by the festive season. For most of the year, he said, we're struck by the impossibility of peace, but at Christmas there's kindness and friendliness in the air. Strangers are welcomed, frosty neighbours thaw, old jealousies are forgotten, and neighbours are forgiven. Because Christmas exists, he told his congregation, we know that the world is not in the exclusive control of fear, greed and dishonesty. And on a cold, sunny morning in St. Peter's Square in Rome, crowds gathered to hear the Pope's Christmas message. He spoke of the menacing powers of the earth, which squandered their incalculable wealth on weapons, and he called on the world to follow the example of love set by St. Francis. The fourth test match between England and Australia begins in Melbourne tomorrow morning, but today there was a time to relax as the England team got together with the press to celebrate Christmas.
Members of the press corps here comatose, allegedly sent to sleep by yet another England press conference. The pantomime over, the players did their turn. David Gower with a more than passable imitation of an SS officer.
Excuse me, I wanted no pictures here, thank you.
This is England wicketkeeper Jack Richards, after another victim. And Neil Foster came as a representative of the so-called gutter press, looking for an exclusive story. The entire Botham family are in Melbourne, including one-year-old Rebecca, the youngest person to attend the party. This very much a family occasion. No time to talk about the crucial test match tomorrow.
Is that tomorrow? Worry about that when we get there.
England all-rounder Philip de Freitas could well be opening the bowling again tomorrow. England only have to avoid defeat to be sure of retaining the Ashes. It would be a memorable achievement for England's captain.
This is Mike Canning for BBC News in Melbourne. Merry Christmas.
And that's all from us on this Christmas Day. God bless. Good night.
Good evening to you. Once again, we missed out on the snow this Christmas, but if you did want snow, well, North Africa was the place to be, and that sounds incredible. They did have quite a lot of snow showers today and some thunderstorms as well, and you can see the bad weather these patches of cloud running down through the Mediterranean. In fact, the Mediterranean is not the place to be. It's very cold indeed. Now, closer to home, we've got this system here which brought all the rain across southern parts of the country today. Then a ridge of high pressure following along behind that's bringing some frost tonight. Out to the west, though, we've got this system here which is going to bring a lot of showers across northern parts of Britain in particular during tomorrow. And as we go through the weekend, we're going to keep this stiff run of northwesterly winds across all parts of the country. And that wind is going to bring quite a number of snow showers, especially to the Scottish mountains. Now tonight, some patches of rain and drizzle turning up in the southwestern corner of the country here, but in most other places, fairly clear skies now. That's going to lead to some mist and fog patches. Up in the northwest of Scotland, though, further showers going throughout the night. And it's on the western side where you'll probably avoid a frost. In central and eastern parts, though, temperatures down to -1 or -2, so some slippery roads to watch out for by breakfast time. Now on Boxing Day, we're going to find rather a grey start in the southwest, further drizzly rain to come in the morning, and up in the northwest of the country as well, a band of showers coming along from the Atlantic. And we're going to find that band of showers making southeastward progress across most of the country as we go through the day. But I think in the southeastern corner, once it gets down here later in the afternoon, I think many places are going to miss the showers and in fact stay dry and reasonably bright with a fair amount of sunshine. It'll turn colder as the day goes along, and those showers turn into sleet and snow up in the northern hills. Top temperature up there, only about 5 degrees, which is 41 Fahrenheit.
Entertainment for Boxing Day on BBC1 at 5:40 Barnum.
Wherever it's at, the corner your feet, time for the drum will be a heart go rat-a-tat-tat.
At 7:45, Allo Allo.
It is possible that the more curious among you are wondering what I am fiddling with under the bedclothes. I will not keep you in suspense. It is a sausage.
At 8:30, Bergerac.
What are you on about? Well, she was burned in a haystack fire, didn't you know?
At 10:15, The Verdict, starring Paul Newman.
You're Mr. Independent. You want to be independent? Be independent now. I have no sympathy for you.
And at 12:20, a movie classic, The Shop Around the Corner, a comedy romance starring James Stewart and Margaret Sullivan. And that's Boxing Day entertainment on BBC1.
In half an hour over on 2, the season of films directed by Billy Wilder continues with Fedora, the story of an enigmatic film star who's retired with a sinister entourage to a closed life in Corfu, and of the Hollywood producer who wants her to make another film. Fedora on 2 in half an hour. We have our own film here on BBC1 Scotland now as Michael Caine and Julie Walters star in Willie Russell's award-winning comedy, Educating Rita.